The O'Reilly Factor's on tonight.
In particular, you mentioned a certain network I work for.
Yeah, I hope you didn't take it personally. Seems like you might have, though.
President Obama once again lambasting Fox News, this time over poverty. And I, your humble correspondent, am the centerpiece. Tonight, we'll tell you the truth in an explosive Talking Points memo.
Obamacare is really, I think, the worst thing that has happened in this nation since slavery.
For saying that, a radical left columnist branding Dr. Carson a Republican black mascot. Outrageous? We'll have a report.
I find it stunning that the National Football League is more concerned about how much air is in football and with a racist franchise name that denigrates Native Americans across the country.
Also ahead, Gutfeld McGurk reply to Senator Reid's remarks.
This is actually infuriating what's going on right now.
Caution, you are about to enter the no-spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Poverty, President Obama, and Fox News. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Earlier this week, the president created some controversy by saying this.
I think the effort to suggest that the poor are sponges, leeches, don't want to work, are lazy, are undeserving, got traction. If you watch Fox News on a regular basis, it is a constant menu. They will find, like, folks who make me mad.
Now, some objected to the president singling out Fox News. Not me. The president has a beef with us. I want to hear it. And I'd like to talk to him about poverty. However, the dishonest media immediately took up the president's remarks with glee. This man, Charles Blow, writes for the New York Times, put forth yet another unbelievably deceptive column about the incident. Using out-of-context information provided by the smear website Media Matters, a far-left outfit that routinely defames Americans, Blow accuses me and Fox News of denigrating helpless individuals in a cruel and callous way. Quote, in 2014, during the week that marked the 50th anniversary of LBJ's war on poverty, O'Reilly again said that true poverty, as opposed to make-believe poverty, is being driven by personal behavior, which included, according to him, addictive behavior, laziness, apathy. O'Reilly has indeed repeatedly called poor people lazy, and the subtext of his remarks is that many poor people are pathologically and undeservedly dependent on the government dole, unquote. Wow. Once again, Mr. Blow is a deceiver, a man who has partnered up with an internet hate operation instead of doing his own research. Lazy might pertain to Charles Blow. Here's what I actually said about the poor. True poverty is being driven by personal behavior, not an unfair economic system. In 1963, just 6% of American babies were born out of wedlock. Now, 41% are, and that includes 72% of African American babies. According to Heritage, single-parent homes are 4 times more likely to be living in poverty, and children raised by single parents are 3 times more likely to end up in prison, 50% more likely to be poor as adults. So maybe we should have a war against chaotic, irresponsible parents. Addictive behavior, laziness, apathy will all override social justice programs. Every child on this planet can learn, but parents must drive the process by forcing the kids to perform in school. Now, obviously, that's a lot different than me calling poor people names. Mr. Blow would know that if he was an honest person, but he is not. What Blow really cares about is attacking anyone who does not buy into the grievance industry that he promotes and adores. I clearly blame irresponsible parents for much of the poverty in the USA, and the situation is getting worse. In 2005, the poverty rate in America was 12.6%. 2013, the last stats available, 14.5%. that despite almost $4.5 trillion in anti-poverty spending over that period of time. Clearly, federal and state programs trying to neutralize poverty aren't working. As for President Obama, he knows them, right? To emphasize personal responsibility, Mr. Obama's My Brother's Keeper program directly trying to counter the cultural deprivation through mentoring. And that is the way to go. But again, it's a lot easier for the president to demonize Fox News, which tells the truth, than it is for him to stress personal responsibility to the liberal precincts who don't want to hear it. Final note, Charles Blow, welcome on this broadcast anytime. But I do not believe he is man enough to take that challenge. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from Miami, the purveyor, BernardGoldberg.com, Mr. Goldberg. Eric Sevareid. You remember Eric, right? You were pals with him when you guys worked at CBS together.
I did know him, and I respected him more than any other person at CBS News, actually.
Interesting. He was a commentator on television, all right, in the Cronkite era. If he had done what Charles Blow did, that is, take propaganda out of context from a website, didn't mention in his column that he did that, Blow didn't, and then gone on the air to attack somebody out of context, would Mr. Sevareid have been fired by CBS?
You know, I know it's tempting to say yes because they would never tolerate that, but the fact is that news organizations and police departments, they circle the wagons to protect their own. And I think CBS News would have circled the wagons and said, you know what, Bill O'Reilly did say those things. Yes, they were out of context perhaps, but it's not a fireable offense. And no, I don't think they would have fired him.
Ethically, take the Associated Press, they have a book, all right, that journalists are supposed to have on how you have to conduct yourself. You don't take bribes, you don't take other people's work, as Blow did, didn't check it out, didn't look at the full conversation, couldn't care less. You know, what I'm trying to get across is that the New York Times puts itself up as the premier journalistic newspaper in the world. And this is disgraceful, what Blow is doing, and it does all the time.
It is, in my view, for this reason. If you're going to quote Bill O'Reilly on his views on poverty, the best place to go is, I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous, the best place to go is not Media Matters, which clearly detests Bill O'Reilly, and Fox News. The best place to go is to do what a serious journalist would do. Go to the source. Go to Bill O'Reilly and see what he said. Everything you've said about poverty is on the web. You can get it. And he didn't do that. Let me make a personal note here because I think this is important. I've heard you talk about poverty at great length. I've followed it closely. And I think when you're angry, this is my view, I think when you're angry, it comes from your Catholicism. I think you're angry at people for wasting their lives. I think you're angry at people for throwing opportunity away and throwing their lives away. I've never thought you were name-calling poor people.
I never do that.
My guess is you have a lot of admiration for the working poor, for instance. I certainly do. So I think if Charles Blow wanted to be more open-minded and fair, he'd say, I think O'Reilly does get annoyed at some poor people sometimes, but it's because it hurts him. Yes, I really believe this. It hurts him that they're wasting their lives.
But even despite the personal...
Am I onto something,
well,
by the way?
Look, I am a guy who roots for the underdog, and I want all Americans to be happy and to have opportunity. But what drives me crazy is the false narrative that the government can solve the poverty problem when it is beyond a reasonable doubt that they cannot. They have not, and they will not. It's a fraud.
Yes, and there are two distinct thoughts on this. One is the one that you have and that I have and many people who think like us have, and that is as long as you do dysfunctional things, all the government programs in the world aren't going to help. That's your view, that's my view. The other view is, no, government has to step in and spend even more trillions of dollars
on programs that don't work. You know, it's just crazy.
Well, they certainly haven't.
All right, we want to hear the other side, Bernie. Coming up right behind you. Next, Tavis Smiley on poverty and a vicious personal attack on Dr. Ben Carson. Wait till you hear this. Little Gutfeld McGurk take on Harry Reid, Johnny Depp, and his dogs. Up ahead.